The fourth naturalistic explanation given by skeptics who try to explain away what happened to Jesus' disciples is what they call the hallucination theory. Here, instead of Jesus actually appearing to his disciples in his literal physical body, they say that the disciples saw an hallucination instead. Listen.
What's wrong with the hallucination theory? Probably no theory has more problems. Problem number one, groups of people, not even two at once, see the same hallucination. An hallucination is something that you believe so firmly that you invent the mental picture. Two cannot share in an hallucination any more than two can share a dream. So if you've got if you have examples of group appearances, and you have them, for example, 3 in 1 Corinthians 15, 3 and following, those are not hallucinations, not as a group. Secondly, the disciples didn't believe it. It's granted by everybody, both from Scripture and from psychology, that you can't have exuberant, expecting disciples after this calamity. Best friend, livelihood, everything's destroyed, and they're supposed to be hoping for a resurrection and making these sorts of images. So second, they're not in the right frame of mind. 3 may be the most devastating one. Too many different people, times, places. You have men, you have women, indoors, outdoors, walking, standing, everything. The problem is to believe that every one of these people manufactured a private, individual hallucination is beyond credulous. We rarely even see hallucinations today, but they were just supposed to have them on demand. That's too problematic. Fourth problem, if the disciples were seeing hallucinations, we got a little problem with the empty tomb. It wouldn't be empty. And so the leaders are saying, fellows, we got a problem here. Now critics say, come on, 50 days later, what would the body look like? Hey, look, it doesn't make any difference. This body looks like it's crucified. Here's the nails, this is your man, blows the theory away. So the empty tomb is a death blow to hallucination. Hallucinations do not change lives, do not transform lives forever. I've got a couple of friends who are experimenting with hallucinations at this present time, and people are talked out of hallucinations. You can say something that corrects it, and when they were talked out of them, here's what they said. 2 refutations. People say, those things don't happen. My friends didn't see it. If they didn't see it, if somebody's there who doesn't see it, they tell the other people, especially something strange like a resurrection. They don't transform lives. There's 5 problems. Let me add 2 others real fast. James and Paul. They're not in the right frame of mind. James, the inside skeptic. What's going to make him quit gritting his teeth and embrace his risen brother? And what brings Paul from the PhD scholar in Judaism to an embracing Christian authority, missionary, theologian? I think it's pretty hard to say either one of them wanted, longed to see the risen Jesus. 7 criticisms, we could go further. There are many, many, but those are just some of the problems with hallucination.
Now, Dr. William Lane Craig says there's another important reason to reject the hallucination theory. I'd like you to listen.
One further problem with the hallucination hypothesis is that it has weak explanatory power. It's offered as an explanation of the appearances. But in fact, it does not explain why the disciples came to believe Jesus was risen from the dead. For you see, given the typical Jewish mentality about beliefs in the afterlife, they would have believed that Jesus would have gone to Abraham's bosom, to paradise, where the souls of the righteous dead would be with God until the resurrection at the end of the world. And therefore, if they had hallucinated visions of Jesus, they would have projected visions of him as exalted in heaven, where God had taken him up until the resurrection at the end of the world. But that would at most have led them to proclaim the assumption of Jesus into heaven, or the glorification of Jesus in heaven, not his literal resurrection from the dead.